welcome to Wrestle MSX. I'm Michael.
I'm Sally.
Fraxiom defeat Los Garza.
Tiffany Stratton versus Jade Cargill finishes in a no contest due to outside interference.
Zelina Vega defeats Chelsea Green to become the new United States champion.
Drew McIntyre defeated LA Knight by DQ, outside interference, but why does this end in a DQ and the women's match end in a no contest?
Ridiculous. And the Street Profits defeated DIY and the Motor City Machine Guns to retain their WWE Tag Team titles. Now, as usual, if you want to know what actually happened. Orton tells Cena he needs kids.
Nia Jax is back.
Aleister Black is back.
And the US title scene just got interesting.
After a recap of WrestleMania, this is long, so if you want to bug out, you can, which was expected. We open with the 17-time champion, John Cena. The fans going wild as soon as his music hits. But once in the ring, the same routine played out, asking for his music to be cut, calling for Mark Nash and giving him a piece of paper indicating to him of what to read out. Nash introduced Cena as the greatest of all time before giving him the mic. As Cena raised the mic to his lips to begin talking, out came Randy Orton. Orton thinks there's a void inside Cena that needs fulfillment. He mentions the generations of children that have looked up to Cena and the millions that he's motivated, adding that the children he's met during Make-A-Wish must have meant something to him, which all ties into Orton's conclusion on how to fill Cena's void. John, you need to have some damn kids. Could you imagine a bunch of square-jawed, thick four-armed little Cenas running around? Grow up, it'll make you a better human being, Orton says. Nice. Cena just smiles, then asks how he dare parent-shame him in front of the whole world, with Cena then saying the real reason he doesn't have kids is because he's spent the last 25 years raising yours, which he says as he turns to the camera. Cena tells one kid his dad's a loser, with Orton telling Cena that the fans are the reason he's here, the reason he's in Hollywood, and that WWE is why he made it to Hollywood. Without WWE, there is no Hollywood, and without the WWE Universe, there is no WWE. Hang in there. Orton adds that he can go in the locker room and hold his head high. He's a piece of furniture and he's here to stay. Cena is just a guest. Cena fires back that he never needed anyone and the crowd mean nothing to him, before rambling on about disrespectful, dysfunctional, hypocritical fans and Jack Black. Orton says wrestling has given him everything and that Cena's going to ruin wrestling over his dead body. Cena interjects, telling him to shut his mouth and that Orton doesn't understand. When he leaves, he tells Orton, he'll forever be frozen on 14, as Cena's taking the belt with him when he leaves, and that when they make another tinfoil title, Orton, if lucky enough to get his hands on it, will have his counter begin again at 1. With Cena saying that he's trying to do this to make sure 3 generations of Orton's family is erased. Orton wants Cena to prove he's the last real champion by putting the title on the line right now. No, comes the reply, adding there should be a match though, John Cena versus Randy Orton for the Undisputed Championship, and it should happen at Backlash in Orton's hometown. Cena then tells Randy to rest up and that he wants the best Orton there is, because after Backlash, when he fails, there will be no excuses. Cena then holds the title aloft, telling Orton to take a good look before attacking him. Cena winds up to hit Orton with the belt, but Orton ducks it and RKO's the 17-time champion. With the damage done, Orton climbs the ropes and raises the title above his head. Wowzers, what a long, winding opener. And yes, this match does get made for Backlash.
Los Garza take on Fraxiom next, who have been signed to the SmackDown brand by Aldis. Fraxiom aren't messing about, sending both their opponents to the outside before following up with dives over and through the ropes. When we get to some in-ring work, Axiom tags Fraser in, where he takes out Berto with a springboard clothesline and Angel with a super kick who's on the apron. Berto then suffers a sling blade and a backward somersault into pin from the mat, with the cover resulting in a 2 count. Angel then gets a 2 count off a super kick while Fraser was midway through a springboard. Fraser nearly takes the L after a super FTY, super because it's off the top rope, followed by a moonsaulting Berto into cover, the pin broken by Axiom on 2. Axiom then climbs the top rope with Angel, but just before he hits a Spanish fly, Fraser tags in. With the Spanish fly complete, Fraser hits a Phoenix splash and pins Angel for the 1, 2, 3. Santos will be furious.
Oh, won't he just? I've never seen Fraxion wrestle. I enjoyed it. They were quick. They reminded me of Motor City Machine Guns. But sometimes they're just too quick and you're like, well, what's going on?
Yeah.
Just slow it down. I know you're quick. Just slow it down a little bit. Because we've had enough of Motor City Machine Guns being too quick. We don't need somebody else being too quick. But aside from that, good start. Tiffy time next as we hear from the WWE Women's Champion. She doubted herself at times, but still managed to walk out of WrestleMania as champion. She tells us, before we hear Jade Cargill's theme, with the Stormbringer then stepping out. She says that business is finished with Naomi, and that she has nothing but time, adding she's going to remind everyone why she came to the WWE. Just because you beat Charlotte doesn't make you the best, especially when you haven't faced me, says Jade. Let's get a ref out here then, replies Stratton, which I like. Just get on with it. With a referee then heading out, but we hit a break, we come back and we see Stratton versus Cargill. Jade overpowers Stratton, with Stratton then covering Jade for 2 and offering to shake her hand. Jade accepts, although it was a ploy. Stratton replies a headlock, which Jade quickly gets out of. The two swap some sloppy moves, and they were sloppy, which ends with a spine buster by Cargill and cover for 2, followed by another with the same result.
Stratton replies with her own spinebuster and cover for 2, before we see the tumbling handspring elbow into the corner and cover for 2 twice. After a break, we join the fighters trading blows in the middle of the ring, with Stratton winning out and hitting a rolling senton, followed by a second attempt at the PME as she slipped on the ropes the first time. The moonsault misses, but doesn't stop her trying the cartwheel into the Alabama slam. Only Cargill counters into a powerbomb cover, but only for 2. A superplex looks to finish it for Cargill, but Stratton rolls out the ring. As she does, out comes Naomi.
I thought that was finished.
Who then lays into Cargill. The ref calls for the bell, naturally, while Naomi continues the onslaught. With Cargill disposed of, Naomi cackles in the ring wildly, with Stratton then re-entering. Naomi backs off and exits, with Stratton then being attacked from behind by Nia Jax.
Well, come back, Nia Jax.
Jax drops the leg, tells the crowd to suck it, clearly a fan of the best era, and then hits the Annihilator before raising the title above her head. So, tag match at Backlash. Stratton, Cargill against Naomi Jax.
So it's got to be, hasn't it? It has to be. I'm fancy saying that Cargill. Oh yeah, I've done with Naomi.
Totally done, yeah.
No, you haven't. Out next, Jacob Fatu with Solo alongside. Solo says that Fatu is the future of the company and that nobody in his family wanted him here except him. They thought he was trouble and too much of a risk. But you know who changed that? You know who made that all happen? Me. No, not me, Solo. I'm the reason that Jacob's the champion. As Solo's saying this, Fatu gives him the side eye. So here's the beginning of the end. Solo goes on. He says Jacob wouldn't be standing here if... but gets cut off as Fatu grabs the mic. Fatu tells Solo not to get it twisted, saying he told him the US title was coming home to the family. He asks the crowd to look at its new US champ, saying it makes him America's most wanted. Of course, this brings out LA Knight. Knight wants his rematch, and he wants it right now. But just as he's about to step through the ropes, we hear a clash of swords, or a sword being unsheathed, and pipes, as out comes Drew McIntyre.
Drew starts by thanking Priest, saying it was a pleasure to embarrass him in front of his family, before saying his plan was to challenge John Cena for the title, but Orton jumped the line. The same Randy Orton that he beat 3 weeks ago. And this makes Drew think, is it World Wrestling Entertainment or Nepo Wrestling Entertainment? Drew says that Cena's a punk now and that he wants to fight the baddest dog in the yard. And then just outright says he wants to fight Fatu.
Oh, I thought he was going to say Bron Breakker.
We hear Knight say blah blah blah, with Drew calling Knight's title run a joke. Knight retorts saying he called Drew's title run a joke, but he can't remember it.
And to be fair, I can't remember it. But if you can remember it, let us know in the comments below.
LA then says to Drew that if he thinks he has a claim on the US title, then why doesn't he step in the ring and show him? Drew says okay.
Love it.
And steps through the ropes. As he does, Nick Aldis walks out, putting a stop to things. He tells the two men to lace up their boots and come back later, winner becoming #1 contender for the US title.
Nice. I've said this before, love this about Drew. The way he was on the ropes and Knight was like, why don't you come and fight me? And Drew was like, okay. And then that was it, straight in. Love it. We see Zelina Vega backstage with Byron Saxton next, and he asks her where her thoughts are. She's speechless because it means so much to her, vowing to win.
So, next match. Chelsea Green defended her US title against Zelina Vega, with Sigrid Hervis at ringside. Green drop kicks Vega to the outside, with the referee then stopping her from following. With the ref not looking, this encourages Hervis to get a little beatdown time on Vega just before we hit a break. We come back to see both women on the top rope, with Vega managing a released German suplex followed by a clothesline, running knee in the corner, a meteora from the top rope and then cover, but only getting a 2. A 619 gets interrupted by Niven, with Fire then getting caught about to hit Vega. This prompts the ref to eject Hervis, with Green then attacking Vega and throwing her to the ropes. Vega comes off the ropes, hits Code Red and covers for the 1-2-3. Zelina Vega becomes the new Women's United States Champion, and hopefully we can move on from Green having the title.
Oh, please, let's not have a rematch. Move on. Let's put some respect on the US title's name, please. We get a recap of the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal from last week before we see Carmelo Hayes and The Miz standing in front of the trophy. Miz has something for Hayes and then presents him with a massive chain. Hayes says when he's wearing it, he's the 10th wonder of the world, 8th being Andre the Giant and 9th being, of course, China.
We then jump to The Miz in the ring moaning about not being in Mania, saying he could have been an opponent for Randy Orton or even stepped in for Rey Mysterio when he became injured. He's sick and tired of people showing up that can't even lace his boots and getting opportunities. Then, just as he's about to say he's awesome, the lights go out.
And the Wyatt Six don't come back.
And Aleister Black is back. Miz approaches him when he gets in the ring asking who he is. Black answers with a roundhouse, knocking the Miz out.
I say I'm not bothered about Black Beat. I'm sorry if you like him, but
I can't really remember when he was in it before, so...
Just a standard mid-carder. Nothing special. You've got Damien Priest that's that kind of...
Yeah.
Ooh. But for me, no. Sorry. If you like him, fair enough. But again, it's all about opinions. We're all entitled to them. Just not into him.
Fair.
Anyway, backstage, Byron Saxton is with Bianca Belair, and he asks her what happened as we zoom in on her bandaged hand. 2 broken fingers. Ouch. She's trying to get back to SmackDown as that's her home, and right now her home is divided, meaning Jade and Naomi, and that when she returns, she has some unfinished business to handle. So that's
not over.
That is clearly not over, and that is looking interesting.
We then cut to Naomi walking through backstage where she's approached by Nia Jax. Jax warns Naomi to stay out of her way when it comes to Tiffany and the title, with Naomi saying, as long as you proceed with caution.
She's gone really weird.
She has.
I like it.
Yeah.
LA Knight versus Drew McIntyre now. Winner becoming #1 contender to Fatu's US title. Drew overpowers Knight, with Knight then back body dropping Drew and covering for 2 before we exchange chops, with the fight then going to the outside. Drew then knocks Knight off the apron into the ring barrier, and with Knight down, the ref begins a count out. Of course he beats the count out, rolls back in the ring and straight into Drew's boots, fists and a brainbuster, with a follow-up cover getting 2. Knight reverses a suplex attempt into one of his own before landing a jumping clothesline, jumping neckbreaker and 2 count cover. A future shock DDT gets turned into a jackknife cover for 2, with Knight then landing a top rope elbow and another cover for 2.
We end up outside again, with Knight slamming Drew's head on the announcer's desk before the Scottish Warrior is thrown back in the ring. As he is, the ref checks on him, but then Solo Sikoa appears and Samoan spikes Knight before throwing him back in the ring. Drew seizes his opportunity and sets up for a Claymore, but as he backs up into the corner, Damien Priest appears and pulls him from the ring. This, the referee does see and calls for the bell. Priest then lays the smackdown on Drew, ending with a chokeslam through the commentator's table, with the desk breaking as Drew goes through. Knight and Priest then argue on the outside, which is soon broken up by a flying Fatu as he comes through the ropes. Fatu then throws both men into the ring before treating them to a hip attack and a moonsault each. This US title scene is warming up nicely. Some real big names getting involved as well.
and that's what you want, because then it elevates the title.
Yeah.
If you just have lower the mid-carders in the title, it lowers the title, whereas if you put the big guns in, it makes it more interesting.
Yeah.
We then see Cena walking through the car park when he's approached by R-Truth, with Truth saying if Cena needed him at any time to give him a call. Cena just walks off. Jimmy Uso then enters the frame, slating Cena, which prompts Truth to say, "That's a real world champion, and when I grow up, I want to be just like him."
Last match of the night, a triple threat TLC match for the WWE Tag Team Championships between the Motor City Machine Guns, DIY with a shapen Ciampa, and the Street Profits, with Ford paying homage to a certain Mr. Michaels' gear and entrance. This would be ridiculous to call, so big brawl to start things off with Motor City running through their double team moves on DIY before Sabin dives out the ring at Gargano, only Gargano is holding a chair which Sabin crashes into. Dawkins then sends Ciampa over the freshly put together announcers table and Johnny into the ring post before getting a ladder in the ring. He's foiled by Motor City, who then beat up anyone who tries to climb said ladder. Sabin then holds a chair in front of Dawkins' face while he's upside down in the corner, with Shelley coming in and basement drop kicking it. Ford suffers a similar fate as the chair's drop kicked into his face from the top rope.
Ford recovers, taking everyone out by diving over the ring post before taking another ladder into the ring. Ciampa stops the climb with the two fighting at the top. Gargano then hits a twisting flatliner to Ford off another ladder, with Dawkins just saving the titles by pulling Ciampa down. Dawkins pushes the ladder over, with Ciampa and Sabin on either side, with DIY then going to work on Dawkins with chairs. Ford hits a blockbuster over the top rope to the outside on Ciampa, wiping out everyone before Ford gets a prosthetic leg from the crowd and beats Gargano up with it. We finally get some table action, with Sabin splashing Dawkins through one and Ford diving over the top rope, putting Ciampa through another. Ciampa then hits white noise on Ford through a ladder which is bridging the ring to the crowd barrier before we see Gargano heading up another ladder to the titles.
He's stopped by Motor City and then put through a table via Skull and Bones. We then cut back to Ciampa ascending the ladder again. He manages to get the titles, but Motor City take the ladder, leaving him dangling mid-air with nowhere to go. City hit him with chairs like he's a human pinata before Dawkins speared Ciampa from a ladder and through a table Motor City had placed under him. Gargano and Sabin then trade blows at the top of the ladder, with Sabin winning out. Ford then jumps on the ladder, knocking Sabin off, but Gargano comes back, pulling Ford down, climbing again. But guess what? Sabin's back again. With the two then fighting it out once more.
Literally just seen that.
Ford reappears with all three men fighting it out at the top of the ladder, with Ford besting his opponents. Ford struggled and finally removed the golden coat hanger from its hook, with the Profits retaining their championship gold. SmackDown goes off air with the Profits celebrating in the crowd.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it was good, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's like entertaining little spots, but it just, I don't know, it wasn't...
They kept repeating some of the people going, well, I've just seen that, I want somebody else up there. I like the use of the chair, the pinata.
Yeah, that was good.
And Motor City using the chair on both Profits. That was good. As I said, the US title's hotting up, especially if you bring McIntyre and Priest in. Not just Fatu and LA Knight. You need to bring some more people in there.
Yeah.
That's looking brilliant. Anyway, don't forget to subscribe while you're here. And if you don't want to subscribe, just like what we do. If you don't like what we do, then put a dislike.
Any thoughts or views you'd like to share, then please feel free to leave them in the comment section down below.
Don't forget to go check out our musings videos with thoughts and opinions on last week's WWE plus WrestleMania. The new one drops every Wednesday. Thank you again for watching.
And we'll see you Tuesday for Raw.